Get ready with me to take an ice bath while I tell the story of how I ended up in the ER last night. Gotta go pick up some bags of ice. Yesterday evening, I went to the hospital to visit a friend. The attendant that was with her wasn't giving us any answers, so my friend and I that were there were told to go talk to the head nurse at the nurse's station for more accurate info. Excuse me, do you have big bags of ice?
Gonna be right there.
Okay. We're chatting with the nurse. They're not even talking about anything squeamish, because I do get squeamish, I will admit that. But they were talking about medication. I remember thinking, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. But I'm not about to interrupt them mid-sentence and say, excuse me, do you have a bathroom? Next thing I know, I could hear a bunch of talking, but it sounded like really muffled. And then all of a sudden it was like I was coming out of the water, like back to life. And there were nurses in my face and they were saying, can you tell me your name? Do you know where you are? And I answered them immediately and I kind of got fuzzy again. And then I felt that I was being laid down. So I opened my eyes and I'm being laid down on a stretcher. They're asking me all sorts of questions. They're pricking my fingers. They're hooking me up to monitors. And I'm like, what is going on? All of these nurses are taking such good care of me. They're like, you passed out. You may have had a seizure, so we need to take you down to the ER and do some testing. And I'm like, wait, what? I've never had a seizure before in my life. I proceed to be in the ER for the next 5 hours. This is not something I'm used to. They did an EKG. They took my blood. They gave me an IV. I asked for some water, but they wouldn't let me have water because they thought that I had had a seizure, and I'm not sure why, but I believe them that that's a risk or whatever. In said ER, there are people yelling for help. People strewn every which way on stretchers, so I'm sure they're just like way overpacked, understaffed, you know. I think this job is a thankless job, so I tried to be very understanding and appreciative of everyone who helped me. The person who did my IV really jacked up my arm. I have a huge bruise. After she finished hooking me up, I said, thank you so much for your help, I really appreciate it. And she looked at me like she had never heard the word thank you before. The nurse comes in, says, hey, I need to hook you up to this monitor. Take your shirt off. And I am stretcher, curtained off with 2 other strangers, with like each of them have a guest with them as well. I'm like, cool, I'm just gonna strip down in front of all of these people that I don't know. As we were leaving, we go to walk out one of the doors and there is a man surrounded by hospital workers and security people, face covered in blood. I was like, oh my gosh, and closed my eyes because your girl's squeamish. I just turned around and was like, do we wait until they settle whatever that is to be able to leave? And the nurse said, okay, are you trying to get out? And we said, yeah. And so she said, go out this other way. So we're going out this other way. There's a guy walking that exit, like banging on the door to the ER. Security people are trying to get him to leave. I was like, oh my gosh, what do we do? We can't get out this way. And the security guy comes up to us and says, are you trying to get out? And we both say, yeah. He escorts us out a different way. Finally, we get outside to the street. Feels like a fever dream. What a bizarre Thursday, am I right?